Welcome to the Pre-Snap Podcast presented by LineStar, your 5 best NFL player prop bets for Week 5 in the NFL. Alongside my co-host Tyler Wiemann, I am Shannon Sommerville. Tyler, getting set for Week 5. We've got some bye weeks if you're playing fantasy football, so make sure to lock in your season-long fantasy as well. But we got some great props for you guys. They are available if you guys play on Underdog Fantasy, PrizePicks, Sleeper, and Chalkboard. And if you don't have those apps, download them. Use the promo code LineStar when you do, and you'll get up to $100 if your first deposit match. Also, the tool we're using to help us find the best value in the prop market is the PropsAI tool. It's available on the LineStar app. So go check that out at LineStarApp.com. Tyler, not a great week for us in Week 4. We were just 2 of 5 after going 5 for 5 in Week 3. So we got to get back to our Week 3 ways here. It was a weird week last week. We had a lot of weird games. Things were a little nuts. I mean, I'll say, if Zach Wilson has a career game and outduels Patrick Mahomes, it's a weird week. I'm just saying. My fade the Jets philosophy didn't work out for me last week. But I was happy as a Jets fan, so it all works out in the end, I guess.
This is another week.
Kind of keep up with the defending Super Bowl champs. That's another note, though. The Jets this week are taking on Denver Broncos. Nathaniel Hackett against his former team, and Sean Payton had some fighting words this offseason, just basically criticizing the coaching job Nathaniel Hackett did. So there's a little bit of, fighting words in that. So that's going to be an exciting game, but a lot of good games.
And with how terrible that Denver defense is, it's another week where you may not be fading your Jets.
I know, exactly. We'll get to that. So we got a lot of great bets for you guys, and if you want to tail us, again, use those apps, Underdog Fantasy, PrizePicks, Sleeper, Chalkboard. Links to that are below, and use that promo code LineStar. All right, so 2 of 5 last week. We were 5 for 5 the week before, so we're going to get back to our winning ways here. We're going to give you our 3 best bets from the LineStar app, and then Tyler and I are each going to give our favorite picks of the week, so you will have 5 in total. All right, here we go. First pick, we're going to the Indianapolis Colts. Their wide receiver 1, Michael Pittman, over 57.5 receiving yards, which is minus 115 in your sports books. Pittman's gone over this 2 of 4 games this season, and going up against a Tennessee defense that has struggled against opposing wide receiver ones. You've seen it week in and week out. Wide receiver ones against the Tennessee Titans. I think this is something we mentioned last week's on our show because this is a trend we've been picking up on throughout the last couple of weeks. Tennessee Titans in DVOA are dead last against wide receiver ones. What do you make of Pittman's line here at 57.5?
Yeah, they've just been awful against wide receivers, and it dates back to last year. Over the last 9 games, they're allowing 190.7 yards per game to the wide receiver position. Pittman is definitely the wide receiver 1 on this team. And, with him seeing double-digit targets in 3 of 4 weeks, I think this 57.5 line is just a bit too low.
Yeah, LineStar's projecting 62. He's averaging 61 on this season. And as I mentioned, Tennessee 32nd in pass DVOA versus wide receiver ones. When you look back at the wide receivers that have faced that Tennessee defense, Jamar Chase just put up 73. You had Amari Cooper go for 116, Keenan Allen 111, and Chris Olave 112. So Michael Pittman's in a good spot here. And we're going to keep it with that same game because we do also like wide receiver 1 for the Tennessee Titans in this game. That's DeAndre Hopkins. We like the over here on his receiving yards at 52.5 right now. It's around minus 115. So decent value there. LineStar's projecting Hopkins for about 64 receiving yards in this one. And D-Hop's averaging 54 receiving yards per game. This line is just really low for his caliber of player. He's gone over it 2 of the last 4. But when you look at the Colts, they've given up the 7th most receiving yards, and they're 23rd in that pass defense DVOA stat versus opposing teams wide receiver 1. For those of you that aren't as familiar with DVOA, it just stands for defensive value over average. And so it basically takes into account things like quality of opponent and stuff like that, which is why we kind of like to value that one a little bit more than just your standard receiving yards against. Anyways, Tyler, what do you think about D-Hop for this week?
Yeah, I think D-Hop's in a really good spot here. If you look at the wide receiver ones facing the Colts so far this year, Nakua, 163 yards. Zay Flowers, 48 yards. Nico Collins, 146 yards. Calvin Ridley, 101 yards. Teams have just been going off versus the Colts wide receiver wise. And DeAndre Hopkins by far is the wide receiver one in this offense. Treylon Burks missed last week. He still has yet to practice this week, so it definitely seems like he is trending to be out. So with all of that, I think Hopkins is in a real good spot to go over here.
Yeah, way too low for D-Hop, so we're going to hit the over there. All right, next up we're going to the Dallas Cowboys, which might be scary considering their opponent, the San Francisco 49ers. What a great game we've got in the slate for Sunday night. We're going with Dallas Cowboys tight end Jake Ferguson over 26.5 receiving yards. It's around minus 120. Ferguson's gone over this in 2 of 4 games, and this is kind of a scenario, Tyler, where I feel like you're kind of in your head mapping out the game script for the Dallas Cowboys in this one. And while it might not necessarily be the run game, or maybe I thought about maybe CeeDee Lamb, is he going to get really involved like he was in the playoff game last year? He had over 100 receiving yards in that game. But I actually think they might target kind of the middle of the field, those like short middle of the field passes to Jake Ferguson. And as you've done some research on it, he's been getting a ton of targets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has 7 targets in 3 of 4 games so far this season. Really feels like he is just taking that Dalton Schultz role from last year. We know that role was very good for fantasy, very good for receiving as a tight end. And now it's Ferguson's. San Francisco, they're pretty average first tight end. They're allowing 30 yards a game to the tight end. Meanwhile, Ferguson's averaging 36.8 per game so far this season. So I think Ferguson's in a very good spot to go over when this line is so low.
All right. So those are our 3 from LineStar. And now, Tyler, it is time for you and I to both pick our props this week. What's your favorite prop for week 5 on Sunday's games?
I got to go with Patrick Mahomes over 285.5 passing yards, minus 125. Look, I know he's only been over in 1 of 4. He's averaging 251 yards a game so far. But this is a guy that last year averaged 308. We're in a dome in Minnesota. The game total's 52.5. We know that Vikings offense can keep up with the Chiefs offense. And it's a team that allowed Herbert to go for 405 yards. Plus, Minnesota has allowed the 3rd most big passing plays in the league with 11. That's passing plays over 25 yards. And we know the Chiefs have a slew of guys that can get deep on them. So I do like Mahomes to go over.
Yeah, definitely in a bounce back spot after their game against the Jets. And speaking of the Jets, that's where I am headed for my pick in this one. At the top of the show, I alluded to the fighting words that Sean Payton, the Denver Broncos coach, had about Nathaniel Hackett and the poor job that he did coaching the Denver Broncos. Well, now Nathaniel Hackett's the offensive coordinator of the Jets. So I'm going with a Jets player here, tight end Tyler Conklin, over 27.5 receiving yards. It's around minus 120 in your sports books. Conklin's gone over this 2 of 4 games so far this season. He had 58 against Kansas City last week, averaging 34 receiving yards per game so far this season. When you look at the Denver Broncos, this is one of the worst defenses in the league. So maybe Sean Payton shouldn't really say too much right now because the Denver Broncos have been awful. They rank 29th in pass DVOA versus opposing teams' tight ends. And Denver has given up the 5th most receiving yards to tight ends. Tyler Conklin is going to go over this, and he's doing it for Nathaniel Hackett in this one. If there is any Jets over I trust in this game, it's going to be the tight end, Tyler Conklin, over that mark. I think he hits this one. I think that's how they're going to get to good old Sean Payton put up some points for offense in this one. I don't necessarily trust Zach Wilson quite yet. I know he had an unbelievable game against the Chiefs and all that, but I'm not exactly on board that train quite yet, Tyler. I'm pumping the brakes. Let's be realistic.
Yeah. You know? I mean, 200 yards is a big line for Zach Wilson.
I know. So I'm not quite ready to fade him either because I faded him last week and I got that one wrong. So it had been serving me well, the whole fade the Jets philosophy. But you know what? Now I got to hop on board the hope train. That is
Womp,
for as long as
womp.
it lasts. It's just, we got to do it. But Tyler Conklin's in a good spot. I think he's a tough guy. He can get some good yards after catch too. So I think he's in a decent spot here against, again, a Denver Broncos defense that is quite literally one of the worst in the league right now. I mean, if you saw that game against the Bears, it was just abysmal. So
totally, I like the spot for Conklin quite a bit.
All right. So you can find our picks on Underdog Fantasy, PrizePicks, Sleeper, Chalkboard, or wherever you place your bets. If you don't have those apps, download them. Use the promo code LineStar for up to $100 of your deposit match. And we do play a little contest on this show where if Tyler and I both get our prop picks right, one randomly selected commenter will win $50. So make sure to enter that in. All you need to do is make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and comment below. And a comment automatically enters you in. If we hit all 5, like we did 2 weeks ago, one randomly selected commenter will win $200, which they did a few weeks ago. So got to be in it to win it. Good luck in all of your prop betting endeavors. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. I know a lot of times the lines move around a little bit and you wonder if maybe we still endorse a prop if it goes up a little bit. So just drop it in the comments and we'll get back to you. Good luck. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
Have a good one, guys. Good luck.